Welcome into Cousin Scott's podcast. We are back with some more stuff for you today. We kind of took a hiatus while there was no sports. I know, that's kind of an issue when you talk about sports on a podcast or YouTube. We've done a few things. We were able to help Lance and Cody get on Jim Matson 1011 ESPN Peoria. By the way, thank you, Jim, for the shout out. I'm not sure if you heard of Isaac. Isaac was working, but he was giving us major shout out, major praise. I'm hoping to make a reappearance on that show, calling one of these next few days. So try to get that free publicity out there, if you know what I'm saying. We are back, though. How are you doing, Isaac? Sorry, I'm totally neglecting you.
You're good. I'm feeling pretty good.
That's
Glad
good.
to be back.
Yep, for sure. And we're trying some different things here. We're obviously trying to get some more visuals and sound effects and stuff. So we're trying to just kind of, boost up our show a little bit. Try some shorter segments and things. So we'll get right into it today. What are we talking about first, Isaac?
Well, let's get into it. First topic right off the bat. So what's the deal with the MLB?
That is an amazing question. First of all, I mean, I'm sure everybody, MLB fans, sports fans, kind of know the whole deal, but they can't compromise. It's like two small children fighting over a piece of candy. The owners want the players to take salary cuts, which in my mind is only fair, not huge salary cuts. But then the players are saying that they want the whole thing, otherwise they won't play. So what's kind of your opening thoughts on this, Isaac?
Well, to me, I feel like athletes really think they're entitled to a lot of things. And the MLB players all seem like a bunch of divas because they all think, oh, we should just deserve all this money when the clubs aren't making any money right now. So how are they going to pay you your millions and millions of dollars when they're not bringing in any revenue whatsoever? So from the players' standpoint, I see what they're saying. They want more money, they want a bigger, cut of the money once it
Which
starts.
I don't know if I not understand this fully or not, but it seems like maybe the owners said something to the degree of they were going to give them prorated salaries because the owners assumed there would be fans at some point this year. Now, obviously, that's not the case now, but it's almost like the players are going to stick with that. The fact that, the owners were kind of hinting towards those prorated salaries 3 months ago, but now that we're here now, the owners are like, look, we don't have any revenue like you mentioned. We need you to help us out here. Since we're only playing half or less of a season, we need some help.
Right. So, I mean, I feel like these players need to do one of two things. I know they're all sitting up there saying, well, they can't have the season without us. So, true. But that doesn't work in the real world. You can't just say, well, I'm not going to go into work because if I don't go into work, then they're not going to have a business.
Which a lot of people are kind of defending the players. I've heard there's been a lot of radio shows are defending the players and stuff. I'm not sure entirely why. People assume that, all those owners are just being greedy, trying to keep the money, which in reality they probably all are in general. But this whole thing, asking them to take a pay cut, I don't think that's necessarily greed. I think that's just having them trying to minimize the losses while still being able to play baseball. And it's not like they're not saying, oh, well, you have to play for free this year. They're still getting paid. And Peoria native Zach McAllister, he's been pitching in some minor league organizations lately. He said that a lot of guys, even at the lower levels that don't make a lot of money, are just itching to get back on the field. So my problem is when you've got big shots like Mike Trout who are not willing to take, say $20 million instead of $30 million, and basically kind of ruining the whole year for the guys that do want to play no matter how much money they make. That's just kind of an issue with me with the players.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is based on what we've heard come out by different reporters, they're offering them like for the percentage of games they're actually playing, they're offering them more money than they would have made on a per game basis. Now we
Right.
don't know the fine print of all the documents and whatever they're trying to get them to approve, but what we do know is what they've told us, and based on what they've told us, it seems like the players are trying to make more money, and it also seems like they're kind of trying to go on strike and say, you know what, we want more money. So
Right. And here's my problem. Everybody is hating on, which, I don't think Jim Matson or Tim Van Straten would watch this. I highly doubt it. But if you are, nothing against your opinion here, but they've been ripping on Rob Manfred for the last few days, which, yeah, he does seem kind of stupid the way he's handling this. But let's think about it. Let's get real. His job is basically working for the owners. He
right,
is not the head of the players union. The head of the players union, they take it up with him. Rob Manfred basically represents the owner and kind of oversees everything. So I don't understand why he's getting such a hard time, because he's offering a compromise and the players union guys won't take it.
right. So it's the problem is that we see what Adam Silver's doing with the players in the NBA,
Right.
which we'll get to in a little bit. Um, but and that's his style of being a commissioner. He
Mhm.
tries to play both sides. Yes, he's employed by the owners, but he tries to stick on the players' side at least enough so that they think, oh, he's on our side. He's got our back.
Mhm.
Um, and he's built that reputation. Now, Rob Manfred, he hasn't built that reputation, so the players have nothing to go on to actually trust him. They just assume, well, the commissioner and all the owners, they're greedy. They want money. They want to just use us for what we
Right.
can provide for them. So for for them, there's really there's not much incentive for the high up people to really play this season if they're going to make less money. Now the lower players are sitting there thinking, I have zero income right now. I want this season to start. I don't care how much money they say they're going to pay me. I'll take half. Whereas the higher up people are like, well, they can't play without us, so it doesn't really affect them. So I think a lot of the blame has to be put on the players, because you have to think about all your teammates. It's not just the representatives from every team, which more than likely are making more money than basically everybody else on that team. So if you think about the lower guys, even in the minor leagues and stuff like that, none of those guys are making any money. So, and the reason it is because you're trying to finagle your way to get more money out of the owners, which, fair as that might seem, it's also hurting your teammates.
Correct. And, I think, again, while there's been a lot of hate on the MLB owners and Rob Manfred, they've been the most trying to be the most willing to compromise. The players have not budged on their, we want prorated salaries, we want what we want, and we're not going to play unless we get it. Yes, the owners did shoot low when they asked them to take some big pay cuts, but they've obviously really eased off of that, and they've even got up to, I think 85% or something like that prorated salaries, which in the spectrum of things for a much, much shortened season, all this time off, I think that's only fair. But apparently the players are just not willing to compromise. And if you're not willing to compromise, then I would say that that's the players' fault. But here's another issue for baseball. Baseball has already been declining in popularity. So what do you think, Isaac? I mean, does this potentially put baseball in the hot seat?
Well, I mean, when I was watching Long Gone Summer a few days ago, they were talking about how the player strike, I believe it was in like 95 or 96.
94, I think.
Uh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Um, but when they had that strike, they actually lost about 25% of their fan base. So baseball went from being the number one sport in America by far to now, going below football and, still above basketball, but it was it was going from America's pastime and steadily declining in viewership because of the strike. People just said, I'm done with baseball. So another thing like that could really hit them hard. especially basketball is doing a lot of things to get a younger fan base. That's what the NBA is doing, and the NFL is also trying to do the same thing. Change up some little rules and things like that to try to get a younger fan base. And if the MLB can't figure something out, they're going to lose another big chunk of fans here pretty soon.
Yeah, and I mean the MLB, I mean baseball is a sport, it's a now becoming a worldwide sport, but in spectrum compared to basketball and football, the MLB just the length of the game and the big plays, you just don't see that happen like you do in the NBA. You don't see, an equivalent to a big dunk or a big 3-point shot, stuff like that, or maybe, a big touchdown pass or something. You just don't see that kind of equivalent in the MLB very often. You got your occasional walk-off home run or, play at the plate or something like that. But again, how often do those things come around? And, I think they've taken some steps to try to change it up, speed it up, but I think there needs to be bigger changes. I actually sent this one into ESPN Peoria a couple days ago that honestly, I mean, I don't think this could even be possible because I think this would cause a huge player infuriation. But if they could somehow manage to get some sort of salary cap in there, I think it would much more even out the teams. I think it would spread out the talent because you have your big spenders like the Yankees who are willing to go out and get every player possible they can get. And then you have your cheapos like the Marlins. And you've got maybe 10, 12 teams that are exciting and the rest are pretty dull, not exciting. So I think finding a way just in general with money, with revenue, with contracts to spread out the talent, I think that would be a lot better because it would spread out the fan bases, more talent spread out, and that's just kind of my thought on fixing them. But obviously baseball down a slippery slope right now. We'll still have to wait and see where that goes. But that was pretty good for this segment. We're going to head into the NBA coming up next. Kyrie Irving and some other players creating some drama. So we'll definitely have to check all that out and maybe get a few hot takes here from Isaac.
All right, so we're going to head into the second section, or second segment, I should say, of our show today. And that's going to be talking about, will the NBA actually start on July 31st, like that was signed in maybe a week and a half ago?
Well,
What's your thoughts on that?
It's an interesting thing because it seemed like it was gaining so much steam. 29 of the 30 or almost all but one, I think it was, or something like that, of the owners agreed to this coming back. Didn't seem like there's too much player pushback at first, but then there was some players that kind of seemed to step in and almost in a way just trying to create a problem, trying to find ways to almost not want to play. And we're seeing this largely from either players that I would call not significant or know they have no chance in this playoff realm. So, yeah, I think that it's kind of a pattern because we obviously don't hear guys like Giannis and LeBron saying any of this stuff. We've got Dwight Howard and Kyrie Irving saying this stuff. Dwight Howard, not that important. Kyrie Irving knows he has no shot at a title this year. So what better than create some drama, get a little self-publicity?
Yeah, so to me, I'm a little irritated at the fact that so if you look at like you said, the owners was 29-1, and the only team that voted against it was the Trailblazers, and the reason that they did was they felt that there was more options that the league could explore to give the teams that were not in either the 1 through 8 seed a better chance to actually make the playoffs, which it seems like to me from what they've set out, it seems like it's a pretty fair chance of you actually making the playoffs, because I wouldn't be complaining too much. You're at least getting a shot. They could say, you know what, we're just going to go straight to the playoffs. We're going to play a few exhibition games and then boom, right to the playoffs. Sorry, you should have, had a better record to this point. But they didn't do that. They gave them, it seems like to me, a fair chance. And then when the players voted on it, which I believe included Kyrie Irving, they all voted yes. So where was his comments when they were voting on when the team
Well, I think that's what
representatives
we
were
should
picked?
really be asking. I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of that. It's yes, they're talking about what Kyrie's saying, what Dwight Howard is saying, some of the players' health and safety concerns. I get that, but at the same time, I've not heard any major sports radio or any sports talk show mention where was this 2 weeks ago when this deal got pretty much finalized. Where were their comments and suggestions and concerns then? It's pretty much a done deal now. It's a little bit too late. If you really did have real concerns, then they had their time to vote. They had their time to speak. They didn't use it. So obviously they're kind of locked in now. So I don't want to hear any boo-hooing about it. And really, I do think most in general are just going to be excited to get back, whether the circumstances are not ideal or not. I think that most are pretty excited, especially those chasing a ring, those top teams, and even some of those dark horse teams that feel they may have a shot.
Yeah, and I mean, too, Dwight Howard is basically joining in. He feels like, their time could be better spent dealing with, social injustice and things like that. But in reality, I think once it comes down to it, I think he'll play. Kyrie's already out for the season anyways, so, I mean, he can
That's
sit wherever he
probably why
wants.
Kyrie is saying all this, because here's my thing with Kyrie. Kyrie has really morphed just in the game of basketball, in social media and everything. This is not recent. This is the past 2 or 3 years. He's morphed into some sort of diva. He's back when he was in Cleveland to start out with, he was a pretty respectable player. He was very good. Moved to the Celtics for a year, and then it just seemed like he kind of clicked there. He got his star role there, and everything changed. And really, for Kyrie, it's been a lot of injuries. He's still a good basketball player, but with what cost to a team where he's got all this drama, all these injuries, and honestly, if he keeps this kind of act up, I'm not sure how many teams will want him by the time his next contract is up.
Yeah. So, I mean, the injuries and things like that, we'll get into more of him a little bit later, but I think that I like what Patrick Beverly said. Basically, we're going to follow, the team representatives, and he was talking about LeBron. He basically said, if LeBron's playing basketball, we're all playing basketball.
And
So,
LeBron has not said a word about any of this.
right. So, I mean, and he's made his stance pretty clear. He wants to play basketball. He feels like he can affect change through playing that. He's done that in the past. So, he feels like, and I would say the majority, if not almost all of the players feel like, let's have the season, let's get the season done. Let's finish this out. And they obviously feel that way. Otherwise, there would be a coup of a bunch of them and not just two
Exactly.
to stop the
Which,
season.
again, as you mentioned, most, if not almost all, are in favor of this. They're, even if in the back of their mind they're like, man, this will suck for a few weeks. We've got to do some quarantining and stuff. But I think really after kind of hearing the layout of what they're going to try to do for them, I think really the worst part of it all for the players will be that first week or two in Orlando where they'll be pretty isolated. I think once they get going, I know they'll be allowed to golf. They're going to provide them with some entertainment, movie screenings. I saw they were going to have a DJ, video games, all sorts of things. Again, may not be their favorite thing. They might want to go out and hit the city and go to a restaurant or something. But, I know Disney is going to, and the NBA is not going to not take care of them. They're not going to give them one-star accommodations. They're going to provide them with tons of great meals and stuff. So, again, not ideal. Now, I think most, though, are willing because of these accommodations, except for Kyrie, who, again, has him and his Nets are a lost cause basically this season. And really the idea of him even bringing up starting his own league is just completely ridiculous. And I don't even understand why he would propose that, because he's creating his own issue in the NBA, and I'm not sure what a new league would do for him.
Yep. So you've heard our thoughts on this. Be sure to hit us up in the comments section and tell us your thoughts on this. And we'll be right back with another segment that we're introducing today. It's time for the new segment of our show. It's time for Hot Take of the Week. All right.
Yeah, we got a couple of nice hot takes today. So let's dive right into it. Basically, subject of the hot take this week, Mr. Kyrie Irving.
So yeah, Kyrie, he's been on the hot seat a little bit, has some outrageous comments, says the NBA shouldn't start. Let's just go back to all the other outrageous comments he said. Like he could lead a team. How'd that go? Not too well, did it? He could be a number one. Sure, he can be a number one on a number 8 seed. Also, he said the earth was flat. If the earth is flat, then Kyrie Irving is a top 10 player. All right. Let's see.
Here's my hot take. Hold on, real quick. I gotta say this.
All right.
Kyrie Irving, I really welcome Kyrie Irving starting his own league because it'll join the pro sports graveyard at AAF, American Football, or Alliance American Football or something like that. XFL.
See, it was so garbage you don't even know the name of it.
Exactly. Dan Le Batard even forgot it was around the other day. What else? Oh, the Arena Football League that also just joined the Pro Sports Graveyard this year. So Kyrie's fake mockery of an NBA basketball league is on its way, folks. Stay tuned.
Mm-hmm. So he wants to make his own league. Now, I wonder, how's that going to go for him? What do you think, Gavin?
Well, this is about how I think it'll go.
Exactly. So that thing is, oh my goodness, Kyrie Irving's league is toast.
Exactly.
So there's no chance on that happening.
And his comments of basically saying that he doesn't want to come back this year, it's totally buffoonery. It's because he knows he's mangled, his legs are mangled, or whatever injury he's got with him, and he knows his Nets have no chance. So his comments on not wanting to come back this year, I've also got a sound effect for that too, Isaac.
No, you don't like that color. I don't like that color. Very good color.
So here's what we really wanted to say about Kyrie. So, we said this is going to be a hot take. So here's your hot take. I feel like there's only one person in the sports world that could cause this much drama this quick. I think this person is a clown, and I think this person never should play in professional sports again. And somehow he may have transported his mind into Kyrie Irving and is somehow controlling Kyrie Irving from afar from Mexico, where he's more than likely working out on the beach for no apparent reason and dyeing his mustache blue. That would be none other than Antonio Brown. I mean, honestly, who else could cause this much drama and be the sole attention of everyone when, I guess it's not that hard to be, have all the attention at this point with no actual sports going on, but still, to have all the attention on you and have everybody talking about you, that's pretty tough to do.
Here, let me sum up Kyrie's last couple of seasons for you. Kyrie's last season in Boston, complete mockery. Then acting like he's going to try to lead the least garbage NBA team in New York. And he can't even manage to do that because he's trash, as always. Honestly, I like Kyrie Irving's shoes better than him. So that's the only reason I would acknowledge Kyrie Irving anymore is because of his shoe brand.
Well, yeah. So he goes to the Nets, and he somehow is going to make – how is it that the Nets somehow get Kyrie Irving and they get DeAndre Jordan? They basically, the only person they lose is D'Angelo Russell, and yet they're worse. Like, it doesn't add up, except for the fact that Kyrie is not a leader. He's like Kobe. He just scores, except for the only difference between him and Kobe is that Kobe didn't really get hurt. And Kyrie's out there acting like Joel Embiid, getting a season-ending injury every 2 weeks. So, I mean, does he really deserve max money? I don't know. Are the Nets trying to, pay the minimum they can? Then he might deserve max money. Otherwise, I don't want that clown on my team. That's all I have to say on
Antonio
that.
Brown of the NBA. It's official, folks.
That's right. That's the hot take of the week.
KI.
Take it how you want it.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap up our show for today. And we'll try to get you again in about a week. Some more
Try to do
more takes.
a weekly show. That would be, something good to do, I think. It'll keep it fresh. We'll try to also put some different separate content on the podcast so you can get a little bit of both. Make sure to check that out too. There's a couple of new things on YouTube. Go watch a couple of the past YouTube videos as well. Isaac, can you do the honors on the like, subscribe, preach?
Well, the drill. Just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications. It'll help us a lot. And peace.